Hey, everybody. Welcome into the HUBCast. It's Tuesday, November 8th. It's Election Day. Did we get that clip, by the way, Ben? You know, I got to tell you, we got great togetherness here on the HUBCast. We really, really do.
Don't say
I'm Adam Alexander, and Max and Russell are here. And I think we just missed, we came on the air.
So close.
We didn't miss anything.
I was getting a foot massage.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, from Russell.
Yeah.
I saw it.
I was checking out what material was on your shoes.
Oh, is that what it was?
Sure.
Because I got to tell you what, I could turn this way and just, for 30 minutes. You could just get really.
We don't need any of that.
All right, big weekend in Texas, and we now know two of the drivers that will run for the championship in 2016. Jimmie Johnson advancing after Martinsville, and now Carl Edwards. And let's give the floor to Max, okay? Because
someone had Carl Edwards in their championship four.
I said to Max today we should talk about the fact that we got two guys there that no one really expected would be there. And he's like, well, I had Carl in my Final Four.
I did. Now, I will say, after the Martinsville race, I was not feeling confident about my pick, but I just got out of my own way. I picked him early on, and he's there now. So,
you know what? I'll say this: he becomes a really scary player at Homestead because
he's really good there.
He's really good there. Their mile-and-a-half program is pretty solid. I mean, Carl's always been a great mile-and-a-half racer. I think the 12th win on a mile-and-a-half the other night in Texas.
That's right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing that I look at. And I'll tell you somebody else I think could be really dangerous if they can get there, and that's Joey Logano.
Mm-hmm.
Is the tire that we ran at Homestead at Texas and Chicago, same tire as Homestead. Mm-hmm. Grip level is similar when you look at those three tracks. They're obviously all mile-and-a-halves. Mm-hmm. Carl wins at Texas, had a good car there. We know he's good at Homestead. Joey was second at both Chicago and Texas. So if Joey can find his way to Homestead, I think there are two guys that we weren't necessarily talking about as favorites coming in that could get there and have a real shot to win this championship.
How much do you think that plays in? How much do you think it's just like a clean slate when you get to Homestead? Because everything's out the window.
Well, it is a clean slate.
Those.
Another re-rack to 5,000 points.
Yeah, those four guys are going to be probably running in the top four most of the day. How much does that past play into what we're going to see at Homestead, you think?
Well, to me, confidence is a huge thing when you get there. And I think that knowing the success they have had will give them a great deal of confidence. I think the whole tire thing's really big for Jimmie Johnson, too. They didn't get the finish, maybe, that would breathe a bunch of life into what you would expect out of them at Homestead at Texas. But remember how good they ran at Chicago with this package, okay? Led all those laps, led the most laps in that opening race of the chase. Mm-hmm. And I think they used Sunday as a little bit of an opportunity to experiment because they were already locked in. Mm-hmm. I think Texas winning at Martinsville could prove to be huge for Jimmie Johnson if he wins the title for that very reason.
And also, no one thought we were going to race the race was going to start at 8 o'clock at night either.
Right.
So when they know what time the race is going to start, it's going to be a little different too.
Do you know what are we looking at for that championship race? Do you know time? I have not looked at the schedule that far out.
I think it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in that range.
So a decent portion, now that we've had our clocks set back, a decent portion of that race will be under the lights.
Right.
Yeah, which will help. I know, you said you had Carl in your championship four. But you look at these two drivers, there are a lot of people that maybe not didn't have them passing out the first round, but you could have easily made a case against both of these guys getting to the round of 8.
Oh yeah, like I was going to say, nobody had them going to the Final Four at the beginning of the chase, but evidently Max did.
That's right.
Yeah, and now I think it presents a really interesting circumstance as we go to Phoenix. I know Kevin Harvick's not a lock. No one's ever a lock. But when I look at what's happened in recent history in NASCAR, Kevin Harvick at Phoenix is the most automatic thing we have in the sport right now. You guys agree with that?
Pretty close.
You might be able to make a case for Jimmie at Texas, where he's been really good recently. There was a period not too long ago where you would say that about Jimmie at Dover. Mm-hmm. But I think right now, when you look at the last 6-8 appearances at any given track, Kevin Harvick absolutely, without a doubt, is the most automatic thing at Phoenix that we have at any track for any driver on the circuit.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's just say that Kevin goes there and wins again this weekend, all right? And that's going to be tough to do, and we know at some point this run's going to end. But let's just say that he continues his domination and goes there and wins. And he needs to. He's not going to get in on points. Not mathematically impossible, but just so unlikely that could happen. Think about some of the drivers that are going to be eliminated and not have a chance to run at Homestead. And I think about the two from Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
If you look at what those two drivers have accomplished in this chase, I mean, statistically speaking, you know, the average finish for Kyle Busch, if you throw out Talladega, which you have to, especially based on the game plan that they took there, he has averaged a top 5 finish in the other 8 races we've had in the chase, other 7 races we've had in the chase. He's led a bunch of laps. He could average a top 5 finish. He could go 5th, and 2nd in this round and not make it to Homestead. That is remarkable to me. And Matt Kenseth has led a slew of laps, and you could easily say he should have won 3 or 4 races, and he too could finish runner-up on Sunday and still be on the outside looking in when it comes to going to Homestead.
When we entered the round 8, like we said, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, probably guys we didn't have pegged as locks for the championship for. I think on the other end of it, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth were 2 of the guys immediately that I said are shoo-ins for the championship for, just because of how good they've been running lately. So I'd be shocked. The numbers say one of them's not going to get there, and it's going to be a huge disappointment, I think, to whoever doesn't get it.
What is your gut on Kevin Harvick? Yes or no?
My gut says no.
Why?
I
Just
don't
because
know.
It's time?
I think at some point it runs out, and I think they've been hitting a little bit of a bumpy spot the last few races, and I just don't see it happening. If they win, I wouldn't be surprised at all either, but my gut says no.
You'd bet it. The percentages say at some point,
sure,
this has got to go to somebody else.
Exactly. No, because of the percentages.
Yeah.
And remember, in the race in March, it was the closest Phoenix finish ever with Harvick and Edwards.
But in fairness,
Still win.
Yes, he did still win, and he did so on older tires.
Older
Edwards
tires.
had pitted.
Right.
That's the thing. I'm with you guys. If I had to bet the other 39 are Harvick to win this weekend, just purely based on the numbers and percentages, I would bet the other 39, because there's going to be some guys in this race that have great resumes at Phoenix, that have a lot on the line, that need to go out and deliver. And I'm like Max. The 4 car has just not had the sweet spot that you would expect out of them in recent weeks to make you think they're going to go there and win. But having said that, he doesn't just go there and win. He goes there and obliterates the field. I think in his last 3 wins there, he's led like 220-plus laps out of a 315-lap race.
In the last 4 races there, he's led like 67% of the laps.
I think I looked it up, and I could be wrong, but since he went to Stewart-Haas, that's 5 races. He's had 4 wins and a second, so his average finish is 1.2, and he's led almost 1,000 laps.
Over 100 laps in every race. 200 in 4 of them.
I bet he's averaging leading 180 laps a race at Phoenix since he's been at Stewart-Haas, which is leading over half the race, well over half the race.
I think we all agree we wouldn't take Harvick versus the field, but I can't name a single driver. If I had to pick one driver to go there and win, I'd pick Kevin Harvick. Yeah. There's nobody else I'd pick over him, but I would take except the field.
But in this scenario, though, you like his chances for a couple of reasons. One, there are so many places where the margin of error is slim because it's a long race. You can have a mechanical issue. You have a bunch of pit stops. The one thing, odd things don't normally happen at Phoenix, and I think this lends to why Kevin has this win streak. It's a shorter race. Things are less likely to get out of kilter to open the door for somebody else. You guys agree with that thought process?
Yes, but it's also harder to recover as well.
Oh, yeah, if you have a mistake. Absolutely.
Sure. Well, and that works to his advantage, is he's been able to put guys that could come up and contend down a lap early or out of sequence or whatever it may be, and they can't come up and contend. It comes down to a handful of cars every time, maybe not 15 to 20 that we'd see at other tracks.
Do you think it helps him knowing he has to win, basically?
Well, yeah, but the other thing I think that helps him, this guy's been a king at the walk-off. I mean,
so good.
I mean, you think about the first year of the chase. I mean, he won at Charlotte in that second round, then went to Phoenix in a must-win and delivered and knocked it out. Then he goes to Homestead, where I guess you call that a walk-off. I mean,
he won.
He won and won the championship.
Sure.
I mean, he didn't have to. As it turned out, he had to win. But that's not what you would call a must-win, if that makes sense.
Right.
It was a must-win, though.
It turned out to be that, absolutely.
Is that not classified as a must-win?
It wasn't a must-win going into it.
I knew the moment I went down this road, someone was going to challenge
Keep going.
It was a numbers guy that's going to challenge you on
Let's
that.
give Kevin Harvick credit. In the first year of this format of the chase, he had 2 walk-offs. One at Phoenix, where truly his back was against the wall,
Sure.
and 2 at Homestead, where he knew if he won, he was going to be the champion, and he won. Okay.
Who finished second in that race? If he would have finished third, would he have won the championship?
He would not.
No.
No, he wouldn't have. So then you fast forward, and you look at what he was able to do year 2 at Dover.
Yep.
I mean, he had problems in the opening round. He has to win. And Dover, a track where he's not been great. And again,
Crushed him.
and because qualifying was rained out, he started like 17th and still led like 75% of the race.
And also had to go up against Jimmy Johnson, who was in a
Right.
situation where he needed a good race. And we know how good Jimmy is at Dover.
So he's walked off on 3 different occasions, truly walked off. And he had 2 circumstances this year where he had bad races in the opening event of a round and came back the next week and won.
Right.
Not truly a walk-off, not truly a must-win because it wasn't an elimination race. But if you break down the numbers and you look at where everybody else is, you knew he's got to win one of these next 2 if he's going to advance, and he was able to do it.
In that first round, he was going to have to win.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
And I just think that, one, they're confident because of that. They've been in this situation before so many times and delivered and have done it at Phoenix where he's so good. The other thing is, I know Martinsville's officially the only short track race in the chase, but Phoenix and New Hampshire, I mean,
Feels like a short
lot
track.
of short track characteristics. And I just think, his mentality, his mindset, the approach that he brings, that just makes life really difficult on the guys around him. And they're going to be very much aware that he's out there. Now, the one roadblock that could get in Kevin Harvick's way, little bit of a run-in with Austin Dillon on Sunday at Texas. One, you guys saw that. I mean, what was your initial reaction when they got together? What did you guys think on that?
Watching it live, you felt bad for Austin. It didn't jump off the page to me.
Because they'd had a really good run.
Sure, and Austin wasn't a chaser, so him going into the wall isn't a huge storyline when it comes to what was going on in that race. It wasn't a situation where Kevin went after him and got him.
No, absolutely not.
And so, could he have given
no
him
premeditated intent?
Could he have given him a break? Maybe a little bit, but it certainly wasn't a situation where he went out and absolutely went after him and wrecked him.
But it wasn't a situation where he needed that position right there. If he was truly
He certainly
faster,
could have
he
given
could
it
have
up.
waited another corner and passed him. So that's where I think it was not a smart move for Kevin, knowing what he knows he has to go do now.
Right.
I wonder.
But here's my thing. We got a lot to talk about, right? I mean, we got a lot of time to fill with NASCAR.
Sure.
So we're going to sink our teeth into any potential storyline that exists week in and week out. But how much about and it wouldn't have mattered if it was Kevin and Jeffrey Earnhardt, if it was Kevin and Austin Dillon, if it was Kevin and Jimmy Johnson. I mean, at any level of this, if you get one side saying, remember that number, we're going to get him, and all that stuff is said on the radio, we're going to be talking about it. But how much of this conversation is escalated because it's Kevin Harvick racing a 3-car, he came from RCR, he and the Dillons have had their moments in the past and so on. How much of this story is heightened because of that? If you go back and listen to the post-race reaction, Kevin basically said there was no intent, and I apologize. And Austin said, we're going to go race for wins, and Austin took the high road. So there's been nothing from either camp other than what Slugger Labby said to suggest that this is going to be a problem going forward.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be I don't think we're going to get into a Kenseth Logano situation like we got into last year where Austin's going to go out and wreck Kevin Harvick. But he can certainly make life difficult if, say, he's a lap down and Kevin's coming through lap traffic. he's going to make life as difficult as possible for Kevin. And that could be the difference between winning and advancing and finishing second and going home.
I think, though, to quote our good friend Larry McReynolds, that is a very we have
there
the bobblehead right here. Yes,
he agrees.
This picture obviously taken. What are you thinking? Like 84? Look at all that hair. I mean, Larry. I mean, literally, there's more hair on this bobblehead than Larry has right now.
Yeah.
And but to quote Larry, this is a bit of a slippery slope when you talk about Austin Dillon because of what you said. I get that there are multiple ways to pay someone back. Okay, some more obvious than others.
Yeah.
But NASCAR made it pretty clear when the whole episode happened last year at Martinsville with Joey and Matt. You mess with a guy that's running for the championship and impede his progress, we are going to smack you right between the eyes. And it's that reason, Austin can't win this game. He can't win this game. Now, we go to Martinsville in the spring, maybe he can do something to get in Kevin's way. I don't think it would be smart for Austin to use Phoenix this weekend as a time to try to get even with the 4. I don't think it's smart.
I don't think he goes in there with that intent, but if that situation presents itself, I think absolutely he'll take advantage to mess with him a little bit.
He's not going to get out of his way as much as he would have 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Will he race him hard? Oh my gosh! Like
harder than he ever has.
Pull the gloves up as tight as you can. Like I don't care if we're the same manufacturer and you got a chance to go. All of that, right? I'm fine, and I think all that's very easy to understand and predict that it will go down that way. I just don't think he's going to do anything that even puts the thought in anybody's head that he's jeopardizing Kevin and his chances moving forward.
There's so many.
You can't win that game. You can't win that game.
There's just a lot you can do that is very subtle that just makes their day difficult, whether it's having a pit stall near them and making it hard to get in and out of your box for Kevin, or if it's really small stuff, and it's not stuff that's going to jump out to most fans as, wow, Austin really went after Kevin there. And the other thing that's going to play is just mentally, is how much is a spotter going to have to be aware where the 3 car is on the track, or how aware are they going to have to be where Austin is when they're coming out of their pit box. It's like there's a lot, and you're just adding another layer that increases your chances for mistakes.
But let me ask you this question. Go ahead, Russell.
So Austin was smart in his post-race interview.
He was outstanding.
Because he didn't say anything about it, because that's part of the whole thing.
Oh, that would have incriminated him real quick
stuff.
if anything.
Yeah. And Phoenix is a real easy place where you could do something.
Very
That's
easy.
Probably one of the best you can do something.
But let's think about this long term a little bit, because we know the history. Remember what happened at Martinsville in the truck race and the things that were said and the fences that had to be mended, because
that was Brother Ty, too.
That was Ty, yeah. But I'm just talking about the overall picture of RCR
Sure.
and Richard and Kevin and the relationship they've had. And I feel like those fences have been mended. I really do. I mean, I maybe not to the level.
They've been patched.
But
they're not as strained as they once were.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's it. There's not a ton of tension there now. At least I don't think so. I mean, I'm not walking in these circles to say that for 100%. I can factually tell you that these guys are spending a lot of time together and going to dinner and hunting and all those things. But who is the master, and we've seen it play out, who's the master at going out and messing with people on track and playing those head games? Who's the best?
Harvick.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, if I'm Austin, there's a lot I want to accomplish in my career. And granted, I'm going to be racing probably longer than Kevin is from this point forward. I'm just, you better be real careful who you're picking a fight with.
And I will say this. If Austin does want to pick a fight with Kevin, I might not be worried about Kevin. I might be worried about Tony Stewart coming and chasing me down, because Tony's got a lot of interest in getting Kevin a victory lane this week.
And the other thing is, let's not forget, and then we'll kind of put this to bed, the manufacturer lines here. We got one Chevy already locked up with Jimmy Johnson going to Homestead. We know how good Toyota's been in 2016. As a manufacturer, I can't imagine what the party would be like Monday morning if Chevy had 2 of the 4 spots at Homestead.
Pretty good.
And I wonder if as a manufacturer, you don't get involved and say, hey, no funny business. Down the road, you do what you got to do. And I understand how the game's played. Not at Phoenix. Not at Phoenix.
Next year, Kevin's going to be in a
That's
Ford,
right.
so why don't you do it next year?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it at Martinsville in 2017.
Let's do it at Phoenix next year when Harvick has a chance.
Absolutely. Wait a couple months.
I hope he does, because I'd hate for something between those guys to get in the way of what I think is going to be one of the best races of the year.
I do too. Where are we at time-wise? What do we got? Where do we start? Do you know?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
We're at 20 minutes. Okay. Let's go to the next thing at Texas. Carl Edwards wins. He may very well have won this race regardless of what happened, but rain shortened. And we all know what a fiasco Sunday was trying to get this race in, and the weather and the track and so on. I mean, this was a very difficult time for NASCAR and the teams, and Mother Nature simply did not cooperate. A lot of questions being asked. We had a poll question Monday on Race Hub. Should chase races always be run to their scheduled distance? As we know, the rule now in NASCAR, once you get past the halfway point, if weather comes, we can call this race official and be done. That's what happened at Texas on Sunday. What do you guys think? When it comes to the chase, your vote is yes, all chase races need to be run to their scheduled distance, or no, keep the rule as it is and it's been for as long as I can remember.
Keep the rule as is. I think it adds excitement to it, really.
Okay.
I tend to agree with that, but I wouldn't be that upset if they changed the rule. If I had a vote, I'd say keep it the same, but I think making it so you run to your scheduled distance, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think you could get into some pretty sticky situations when you hit rain, and now you're talking about waiting overnight, and then you're coming out to a different track. Now you have more competition cautions because you're in a different. There's a lot of layers to that, and so I think to keep it the way it is now is the most fair for all the competitors.
There was rain scheduled for Monday at Texas too, so
right.
it's
like
rain.
I mean, it was in the forecast,
sure.
and it
so
delivered.
you could be there till Tuesday or Wednesday to try to get 30 extra laps in. I don't think the
competitors want that. I don't think fans want that.
You know, if we let's just say we go have a conversation with our buddies that are not NASCAR fans, that are sports fans, and they say to us, well, I know you're a NASCAR guy, and I mean, I heard about this race, and it's a playoff race, and there's only 3 races to go, and it rained, and they didn't finish the race. They just called it. I think if you just think about this from a common sense standpoint, you don't understand all the elements, it would be easy to say, yeah, we got to change the rule. You can't run a championship deciding race to 3/4 distance and call it good. That's absurd. But the box that NASCAR puts themselves in, the minute that they make the announcement that all races are going to be run to their scheduled distance in the chase,
is absurd.
Mike Helton's going to have an anxiety attack before the. I mean, okay, let's just say that was the rule, and we're at Texas, and we got to finish this race. Where do we go next? Phoenix. Logistically, this is an absolute nightmare. There's no way to make this work. No way. We finish a race Tuesday. We stay around for 40 laps. We finish it, and now we got teams running all over the country. The one race where I think you could maybe say we need to do this would be Homestead. But I think from a common sense perspective, that rule's kind of unwritten anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and also you don't want to necessarily change the rules for one race, because then you're deciding the race differently. And I think as long as you go into the race knowing we get past halfway, the rain comes, we're going to call it, then that's fair. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be different if you said we're going to run to its scheduled distance, get to Sunday night and go, you know what, the forecast doesn't look good for Monday anyways, why don't we just call it now? That's unfair. But as long as everybody knows the rules, I think it's fair game.
And we raced over 400 miles. It wasn't like we...
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like we were, only 200 miles into the 500-lap race.
And I like the point. Race. I like the point that you made, and that is the one underlying storyline here that no one's really brought up is what you said, and that is the drama that comes when there's rain in the area. It really does add a lot of excitement.
They race so much differently when there's rain in the area.
No question about it. No question.
And you could feel it. Like being there, you could feel the difference.
Oh, we've all been a part of those races. I mean, I think back to, Pocono when Chris Buescher won. I mean, that was, you could see the fog rolling in, and it's like a matter of time before they're going to throw the caution, and this could be the end, It does add certainly a level of excitement that we don't see on a day when it's sunny and 75 and the elements are far more predictable. All right, so we've pretty much exhausted our time here in our topics. So let's, Josh Richter's with us, and we got to say, CJ, we're sorry you're not here. And the energy in the room's different. It's kind of like a race when there's rain on the way. It doesn't feel the same today, really, to be honest. Josh, good luck to you filling in. And I know probably some questions have come in. What do you got?
It's an honor to be here, guys. Just like to say that off the top.
Let's just write this down, November 8, 2016. This is a big break in your career right here, being a part of the HUBCast, let me tell you.
It's all happening. All right, so earlier you guys talking about whether or not Harvick could win at Phoenix. Will he win? Fan consensus is no. Now, I know you guys are picking the field. Max specifically said, hey, I can't pick one driver over Harvick. I'm taking the field. But that's not good enough for the fans. One driver who can beat Harvick at Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth. I think Matt Kenseth has shaped up on short tracks. I think he's shown so much speed in the chase. I think he goes out there and gets the win.
I like that a lot.
Kyle Busch. Kenseth hasn't been very good there lately either, just so you're aware. But it's Kyle Busch.
It's my pick.
I mean, it's so hard to not pick a Joe Gibbs guy. And I guess I could kind of complete the cycle here and say Denny Hamlin, who's the only other driver that hasn't won. Denny's been pretty good. But you know what? If I had to pick someone other than Harvick, and I'm not going to, and I probably would have picked one of the guys you said, but to be different, I'd probably say Logano. You know what? He's won there twice in the Xfinity Series, and in a way, his back's against the wall, and so I'd probably go with him.
Penske hasn't won there in like 20 years.
Well, then they're due, all right? So write it down, all right? Put that in your notes tonight when you send out the email, all right?
All right, going back to Texas, a lot of people are asking, what do you think? Does Texas need a repave or no?
That was good. We didn't really get to that.
Yeah, I think so, and I think I like older racing surfaces. I think tracks like that make for good racing, but I think it's a disservice to the fans when it hasn't been raining for hours and we're still not racing because they can't get the track dry. I think they need to redo it, and I think especially for situations like this where it's going to rain, I think they could use a repave.
So, show of hands if Texas has lots of character. All right? What creates that character? I mean, the fact that we got bumps and we got cracks in the track and all this, right? To me, and I understand the repave thing, it might not rain the next 10 years at Texas when we're there for a race. Yeah. Do we really repave it because we had 1 5-hour rain delay? I mean, is that... Now, if it needs to be repaved and it's not safe and the track's pulling up or something, I get it. I just don't like the idea of a repave and taking away all the character when we're only doing it because of the weepers that are created when it rains.
I agree with you, but just to be fair, IndyCar had a 3-month rain delay there too this year. So they had a real bad year when it comes to rain and that track drive.
Yeah, and Pocono had a lot of bad luck with weather this year too. It happens. Okay. But I just don't ever want to rob the fans of the product on track or the drivers of their opportunity to compete.
So I have a different idea.
To me, weather should not dictate the tempo on the track surface. That's my opinion.
So let's find a different way to dry the track quicker, or a different way to have the track be dried better.
That's a boy. Good luck with that. Can I invest in your company?
Yeah.
You don't have an engineering
I'll take
mind.
it. I'll take it.
I know that bald head. You think a lot, but there's no way you can come up with something.
I'll take your money.
I know
every day.
you will. I know you will. You got one more?
Yeah, one more. People love predictions. Give us your final 4.
Okay, that's good. Instead of picking a winner this weekend, let's do our final 4.
I'll help you. Johnson and Edwards.
Okay, I'm going to go with Johnson and Edwards. I definitely have them down. Even though I didn't 8 weeks ago.
I just helped.
Go, Max. You had I got Johnson, Edwards, and add a third.
Kenseth,
okay. Who's your third?
Kyle Busch.
Even though I said I'd take the field, I'm going to say Kevin Harvick. All right. Go.
Kyle Busch. My 4th.
Kenseth.
You should have just said you're going with my picks.
Never.
I'm going to say Matt Kenseth. So you guys added the 2 guys from Joe Gibbs Racing in the opposite order. You both say Kenseth and Busch, and I say Kenseth and Kevin Harvick.
So you're picking Kyle Busch to not make the championship. Let's just and Joey Logano.
Yeah, I know. Logano.
Your
I would've
guy,
picked
Logano.
I mean,
He didn't
my
think
guy.
this out.
I am, but I got to be different than you two, and being different than you two
wanna-
sometimes puts you on a real odd.
You
want
to change the
You know what
first
it's-
two at all?
Hey, here's
Like,
the deal.
do you-
The HUBcast is over this week. Can we turn their mics off, please? Josh, you were outstanding.
Oh,
all right?
thanks.
No, hey
Appreciate
CJ,
it.
no pressure, no pressure, Josh. All right, thanks for listening in. We'll see you next time, and watch the Race Hub. It's on at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1.